This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
This is an interesting question here because we hear people in newsletters talk about it, and I've even heard JR talk about it before. Joe Dangerously writes, when walking to the ring, knowing you're losing a match, perhaps costing yourself money for big matches in the future, is it tougher to keep a brave face? I asked this question, Arn, and I picked it because I've heard Meltzer and JR both say sometimes you could just tell when the guy walked through the curtain, he had his quote unquote boo-boo face on, which I think is a unique to wrestling term, boo-boo face. What say you? Is it tougher knowing you're going to be looking at the lights at the end of the night?
No, I think when they come through the curtain, any guy that has on his job face,
yeah,
is probably in the wrong business.
But you've seen it before? You've seen talent?
Sure. Yeah. It's easy to spot, and it's because that particular person has the wrong goal in mind. Coming through, number one, I never went through the curtain that I believed I was just going to roll in the ring and get slaughtered.
Right.
Never crossed my mind. Never even considered it. So I'm already on my way to a fight where I'm going to be competitive, whether the other guy across the ring is Simmons or the Road Warriors or Steve Williams or, whoever it may be. It's a frame of mind. It's putting yourself into, hey, this is fight mode.
Right.
I belong out in that ring. I've earned my way into that ring. I can compete with anybody in that ring. And that's what I'm going to bring stepping through the ropes. And if you have that in your heart and in your gut, that's what you're going to show in your eyes. And I can look at a guy's eyes and tell you right away if he's confident, not confident, suspect, thinking more about who's winning and losing than he is having a great match. So, I've seen that look, and it's mostly inexperience, and it's mostly guys that have different goals, mostly self-serving, other than what's good for the company, what's good for the match, et cetera, et cetera.
I think you bring up a great point when it's usually inexperienced guys. I know you would never intentionally get on here and sort of out someone or shame someone, so I'm not asking you to do that. But was there a time when you were an agent where you felt like you needed to go sort of give a guy a checkup from the neck up? You could see that look in his eye, and before he went out, you needed to pull him aside and say, hey man, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're going through, and drop some old school knowledge on him. Has that had to happen before?
No, if it would have happened, it would have been on the way back through the curtain.
I see.
Because, there's no way of telling if you're back, and you're back there with them and you're watching them walk, kind of make their way around on the other side of the curtain. They're getting ready for their entrance. You can kind of get a grasp a little bit of where their head's at.
Right.
But not as much as you get when they come back through the curtain, where their head's at. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when they come back through the curtain, are you looking for things like body language, like slumped shoulders and their head down or something like that?
Yeah. I look for more than anything. If they just got beat with, let's just say, a Ron Simmons Spinebuster, I would certainly, when the match was over and the guy rolled out of the ring, sell his ass off all the way back down that aisle and all the way back through that curtain. Make that move that just beat him. It just held him down for 3 seconds. As big as you can possibly make it. It just makes common sense to me.
And sometimes when you see a guy who doesn't do that, it's because he's in his own head, you think?
And he's disrespecting the guy's finish. He's disrespecting the match. He's disrespecting the business. He's thinking about, why are they beating me? What the hell? Guess what tonight, pal? It wasn't about you.
Right.
That's the answer.
And I guess it's worth mentioning sometimes, because of their inexperience, they may not even realize that's the case, right? Like they don't know they're being disrespectful.
Some really don't. And then you pull them aside And, I've heard things even as crazy as this, pull them aside and go, hey, I wish you would have sold more coming back through the curtain, and right before they can even think about it, it flies out of their mouth. Yeah, but Arn, this is the fourth week in a row they beat me. Well, I'm not expecting that to be the retort.
Right.
And, maybe I don't know the history of the past month.
Sure.
But, I apologize for that usually at the time. And I go, but still, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you did 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. You didn't handle yourself properly in a business-like manner tonight. And that's what we're addressing tonight. We all make mistakes. Every single one of us makes mistakes. But when you make a hustling mistake, it's one thing. If you make an honest mistake, it's another thing. But if you make a mistake just because you're bullheaded, and what does that do for me? Now you got problems.
I want to clarify something you said there. You said a hustling mistake. You mean in terms of you're going through the motions in a match and you just
maybe you rush something a little bit. It looks sloppy.
I just meant physically. You didn't mean the act of scamming someone in that definition of the word hustle. You meant physical.
No. I mean, they get wound up in whatever they're doing and they rush something and their feet aren't planted. Say it's a superplex off the top and a guy shoots up there and hooks a guy. And before he can get his feet set, he takes off with the superplex anyway.
Right.
And he ends up over rotating him, under rotating him, turning him a little bit where he lands on his shoulder. That's what I call a hustling mistake.
Yeah. Joe wants to know, living or dead, who would you want to give a spine buster to?
Living or dead? How about George the Giant?
Oh, yeah.
Elegante
and Giant Gonzalez. You'd like to give him a spine buster?
Yeah, he's kind of got one coming.
The senior wants to know, whatever happened to Mr. Electricity Steve Regal? I don't remember seeing him after the 86 Great American Bash shows.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You ever have any interaction with him?
Not a lot. Not really. I mean, he was a good performer for what I could tell. It was like, smaller, but in those days, if you could perform, it was okay. I don't really know what happened to him.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.